right, welcome to another Tech Talk session. My name is Dr. Johnson Iyilade, and I want to welcome you to today's session of our Tech Talk. And now, the Tech Talk platform is a platform where we enlighten, inform, and bring some guidance to people, especially in what is going on in the tech world and particularly in the data field. So if you are joining us, please like, share, and comment on this video so that many other people can also get informed about today's topic, and also follows our channel on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube so that you can also get insightful information about technology and also data related information on our platform as well. So I want to welcome you to today's session where we will be talking about data strategy. So we are going to be talking about data strategy today, and we are going to look at what is data strategy and then how do you have it in an organization. What are the core things that a data strategy is built on in an organization? So if you have somebody that is working in the data field and you work in an organization that is using data, what are the core strategies that make it successful? And so those are the things that we are going to be talking about today. So we'll be looking at what is data strategy and why is it important, and then various approaches for creating the data strategies, and then the pillars on which a data strategy should be built on, and then who are the people that are responsible for building a data strategy. So those are the things that I will be sharing with us today. So the first thing is, what is data strategy? What is data strategy? Now, one thing that we probably are familiar with is that businesses are looking at data as an asset today, and they said data is the oil in the new generation. So which means that in the digital world today, data is an important and valuable asset. But the problem is that many organizations are not really taking the full advantage of what data could actually do. In fact, many organizations are not very strategic in their data plan. So they just gather data, but they don't really have a specific agenda of what they want to do. A study by Harvard Business Review in 2007 actually says that many organizations, they only use like half of the structured data that they collect. They only use about half. That's about 50% of the data that they collect is what they actively use in guiding the organization and in making decisions. And it also revealed that less than 1% of unstructured data is actually analyzed and used. So that means organizations might be collecting data, and we are in the days that we call the days of big data. Big data is a data that is very big in terms of volume of data that comes in, and in terms of variety of data that comes in. It's not just structured data, it also includes unstructured and semi-structured data. So we are collecting various terabytes of data right now, but the idea is, what value are those data generating to the organization? That is what matters the most. It's not so much about the size of the data that the organization have, but it is more about the value that organization can benefit from the data. So a data strategy, a robust data strategy, is what helps the organization to actually have a plan, a roadmap, a target for what they want to do with data, and that will now help them to define what technology they need, what processes they need to follow, what people and what kind of guidance and rule do they need to follow to ensure that the data is actually delivering value to the organization. So that's what a data strategy will do for you. So a data strategy is what outlines the vision, the long-term vision of the company for collecting data, for storing data, for sharing, and for using data. Okay, so it will cover the organizing of the data. How do you organize it in your ecosystem? Then the governing structure. So how do we ensure that we protect and keep the data safe, or build it in a way that is trusted? and then the way to analyze the data and also use it as an asset that the company has. So these are things that data strategy will help us to do. So the goal of data strategy is to help us answer questions of how the organization can truly leverage on data in making decisions, and that will cut across various end-to-ends from when we collect the data to when we actually generate value from the data as well. So why is it important to have a strategy for data? Why is data strategy an important thing for organizations to actually maximize the value that they get from data? Now, if the organization has a strategy for data, it actually makes them very relevant, because like if you are just collecting data that are not relevant to your business as of now, it's not going to add much value to you. And so if you want to stay relevant in your field, then you need to have the right information, because your decisions are going to be based on data. Then it also makes you very competitive, because we live in a competitive world. There are so many organizations that are competing for you for the same thing that you do. So if you don't have the right data, the right information that will help guide the decisions that you are making, then you'll be less competitive in the market. Then it also brings a lot of innovation, because there are things that you might not be thinking about before, that when you have data, it can give you an idea of new directions that you can put the business. So data strategy is very beneficial, because it helps the organization to generate value for different aspects of the business, and it can include maybe improving your operational efficiency as a business. It can also include like process optimization, like the project process that you follow through. It can also help you in making faster decisions, business decisions. These are various things that data can actually help you to optimize or increase your revenue streams. Okay, so you can leverage on information that come from data to actually increase your revenue, or you improve the customer satisfaction. So all of these things are things that data strategy will be able to give to you, and it's a competitive advantage for any business that has a very robust data strategy. So now, what are the different approaches that organizations normally look at when they are thinking about data strategy? There are generally two approaches to looking at data strategy in an organization. There is one they call data defense. Okay, data defense. Now that one, it is based on organization prioritizing things like compliance and regulations, fraud detection, and then maybe ensuring that their data is safe and then is not being shared or is not being hacked into. So if the goal is to defend or protect the data of the organization, then that will be referred to as data defense. And in that case, many organizations, they have a centralized place, a place where they control access, who has access to the data and who can use the data. So that is about defense. So that means you are protecting data which is an asset for the organization. So if you are looking at strategy, the first way to look at it is you want to protect the asset that you have. Is you build a security, a protection around the data that you have. And also because in some domains there are a lot of regulatory requirement and compliance that you have to go through. For example, if you are in a banking industry, there are regulatory requirements on what you can do with data, what you cannot do with data. So you want to ensure that you comply with those regulatory requirements. Otherwise, you have to pay penalty. You have to pay some fine for not complying with those things. So data defense is all about protecting what the organization has, controlling and protecting what you already have, so that you limit who have access to it. So in most cases, that means that the data is stored in a central place where you can actually control the data. Then the second one is offense, data offense. So the first one is defense, the other one is offense. So this one is more of just recognizing that different aspects of the business might have different need and different ways that they are using the data. So the goal is not too much of protecting, but actually using the data to add value very fast. For example, when you are doing maybe live streaming, there are some information that are just live things that you cannot archive them before you restrict access. So you want to maybe at the moment that you are doing the streaming, there are some response that you want to make to your customer. So your goal is to have customer satisfaction at that point. So you are not really fussy about the accuracy, the various things that you will need to do if you are really protecting the data. So for people who are working in areas like marketing, sales, those are the kind of things that they are looking for. They are looking for getting the attention and attraction of the customer, rather than so much about how accurate is the data and all of those things. So that is data offense. That's the other strategy. But in any robust organization, you actually need both offense and defense. Every organization needs both. So it's a combination of both the defensive strategy and an offensive strategy that is required for you when you are thinking about your data strategy. So there are some regulatory requirements you have to keep, but there are other instances where you give different opportunity to different departments to use the data for different purposes. So that's very key. So it's more like an offense and defense spectrum that need to cut across the organization. So what are the various pillars or steps on which data strategy can be built on? What are the pillars that make up like the foundation building block for a solid and robust data strategy? Number one is that there must be clarity of business vision and value that you want to generate from data. There must be clarity of business vision and value that you want to generate from data, because data itself is meant to support the business goal, the business objective. So what you need to have clarity on is what exactly do you want to do with the data. So you must have a clear agenda of the goals. So for example, for different departments in your organization, you might have different vision and value that you want to generate from the data. Maybe you want to identify maybe what is the new smart product or services that we can produce in the organization. Maybe that's a goal. Or you want to automate some processes to make them more efficient. Now you might need a different kind of data to do that. Or you want to deliver maybe a more personalized customer experience. Or you want to optimize your prices for your product. So there are different goals that an organization can have. So, but you must have clarity on the vision and value that the business want to generate from data before you start putting together the rest of the pillars of strategy. So clarity of business vision and value is the first thing. Then the second thing that is required is to understand that you will need people and create a culture, a data driven culture. So we need people, because one of the key things that you will need is knowledge skill. You need knowledge skill. So we need knowledge and skill. So when we identify especially the key things that we need, then we need to identify who are the people that we need to hire to actually do this job. And there are a lot of roles that are actually emerging now based on the need of different organizations. There are various job titles that are appearing now based on the need of different organizations. So we have data scientists, we have data analysts, we have data engineer, we have data management specialists, we have different roles that are emerging today. So people become a very important thing. And also, even in the existing organization, the people that are already working there, you need to update their skill. You need to upgrade their skill through training. Okay, through training. For example, maybe they are used to using a relational database like Oracle or SQL Server or whatever, and now you are migrating into cloud, maybe AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure. Now that's a new environment that they are not used to. So for existing knowledge workers, you need to give them opportunity to attend maybe some new training so that they get equipped with the new environment that your data is going to be stored. So people and organizational culture is one of the key things that you need to also put in mind when you are thinking about your data strategy. So what are the skills that we need? Who are the people that we need to hire to perform those roles? And it can cut across both very technical and non-technical kind of skill when it comes to data. All right, so that's second thing that need to be part of your data strategy. Then the third one is data governance. Data governance. So data governance is all about ensuring that you maintain quality, ethics, privacy, and access and security to your data. Because if data is your asset, know that one of the ways that your organization can be compromised, the integrity of your organization can be compromised, it's through access to your data. So that's why every organization needs a data governance policy that drives how employees can use the data, what they can do with the data, what they cannot do, what they can share, what they cannot share. So these are very key. These are very, very key. And also in many industries, like I said, like in the banking industry in Canada, there are regulatory requirements that every bank must follow. So you've got to be aware of that and put your data strategy to align with those data governance policies. So there is usually a data governance team in any organization. So data governance, they are more into ensuring the data quality is done. So there are QA, quality assessment, that look at the data and ensuring that the data is accurate. Because if you are going to be making decisions based on the data, then you don't want to be making decisions based on wrong data. So quality assessment, then ethics to ensure that the data you are actually following the industry standard and protocols. Okay, privacy to ensure that your customers can trust you, that you will not release their data unnecessarily. So, and then access and security too, because there are a lot of things that might want to attack the organization by gaining access to their data. So you must ensure that you have a robust data security. So all of these are under data governance. Now, another one that is a pillar that data strategy is built on is what I'll call operational model. So operational model is how do you organize the people and the skill in a way that maximizes the opportunity for the organization. Let's say, for example, you need a data analyst, you need a data scientist, you need a data engineer. Do you just create a team of data people and just put everybody in one team and then they will do every data related work for the entire organization? That will be a centralized operation. That will be centralized. But you can also decentralize it. So that means you have like a hybrid. Even though there might be a special group of people that are specialists in data area, but yet every department still have maybe data analyst, data engineer, and data scientists that are working with them. So that is like a hybrid approach. So like in the tech world, we have usually the tech team, but within the different segment of the organization, we have people who are also tech as well, doing a lot of tech jobs. So that's one of the things to put in place when you are dealing with the data strategy. So how do you organize the team? That's very key. That's another very pillar. So that's pillar number 4. Then another one is the technology that we need. And how do we organize the technology to integrate together? So technology is all about finding the right tool that you need, and then the architecture, that is how do you design it so that all the various tools that you use, they are integrated together. So when we are talking about data, we have different processes that we go through in the entire workflow of data. So it includes collecting data. So how do you get data? For example, you want data about marketing to your customers. How do you get the data? So that is the inflow. You've got to know how to collect the data. So what technology do we need to extract or to get the data. It might be maybe an app, it might be an online systems that is bringing in the data for you. So how do we get the data? So collection of the data, then storing the data. So how do we manage and store the data? So it might be that you are storing it in a relational database or you store it in the cloud. So that's the second thing. Then maybe processing or analyzing the data. How do you gain insight from the data? How do you build machine learning models? How do you do all the things that you want to do with the data? And then how do you also communicate insight from the data? So there are different tools that are in the industry to help you do all this end-to-end thing that you need to do with technology. And when you are choosing the tools and technology that you are going to use, it is not a standalone component. Actually, most of them, they work hand in hand and integrated. So from beginning to the end, you have different tools. For example, when you are thinking of visualization and dashboard, you have Power BI, you have Tableau that does that for you. When you are thinking of where to store the data, you have relational database, you have cloud infrastructure, and you have some semi-structured data storage as well, including also unstructured databases. So there are different tools that are existing in the world today that helps us to do all these various things. So technology and tools, they are very, very key. They are very, very key. And the architecture that you need to use to put the data together is one of the strategies that you need to have. And final one is the implementation of the roadmap. Implementation of the roadmap. Now, after you have put all this information relating to the top 5 that we talk about, your business goals, that is what exactly do you want to do with the data, and then the second one is the people that you will need and the data culture that you want to create, then the data governance, that is how do you protect and ensure quality of the data, then the operational model. When you have all of those things, including the technology and the architecture that you are going to follow, the last part of it is now the implementation. Because when you have the strategy, the next thing is implementation. So what are we doing first? Are we going to hire people? Are we going to buy cloud infrastructure? Are we going to start collecting data? Whatever things. So you have to have a roadmap for how you will facilitate and how you are going to start implementing that strategy. So that implementation roadmap is usually done by project managers and stuff like that. So those are the 4 6 various pillars that you can build your data strategy. Now, who are the people that are responsible for building a data strategy? It's more like a team of people that are working in the data field coming together alongside with the business people, because there are some technical part of it that only the people that are technical can give advice to the organization, but there are also the business side that the business people can bring on board. So you have people like data engineers, data scientists coming in together to bring in different needs and different ways that they use the tools, they use the data to the organization. And then we have data analysts too that can also be part of those that build the data strategy. And then we now have the business people and the managers coming in together as well from the operational and the business perspective. So these are the various things that will help any organization to build a very strong and robust strategy to ensure that before we start collecting the data just anyhow without thinking, we have a right goal, business value that we want to generate from the data clearly set out. For different departments, you can create the value that it generates for different departments, and then you then begin to look at where do you get the data, and then what are the various tools that you need to enhance the different operations that you want to do on the data, and then how do you set up your data governance. And when you have all of those roadmap and strategy in place, then you can get the best of values from data, and that is what gives you a competitive advantage as an organization. I hope this today's talk has been insightful and beneficial to you. If it has benefited you, please feel free to like and share with others so that others can actually get the same information. Until next time, Take care of yourself and bye.